Well, good morning, everybody. My name is James Pasternak. I'm the councillor for Ward 6, chair of North York Community Council. We have quorum. So I'm now calling meeting 13 to order. Welcome, everybody. Although we're now meeting on different locations today, North York Community Council would like to acknowledge that the land we are meeting on is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississauga of the Credit, Yaniswabi, Chippewa, Haudenosaunee, and Wendat peoples. It's now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis people. We also acknowledge that Toronto is covered by Treaty 13 with the Mississauga of the Credit. Today's meeting is being held by video conference. It's being live streamed online at youtube.com/Toronto City Council Live. If you're registered to speak at today's meeting, please listen for me to call your name. I will call speakers in order they appear on the list. The list of the speakers can be viewed online by visiting North York Community Council page at toronto.ca/council and clicking the speakers box for today's meeting. Members, the city clerk has provided all agenda materials on toronto.ca/council and on CMP, the clerk's meeting portal. Clerk's IT staff are available to members if you need help with your devices. I also want to remind you that please submit and approve your motions by email. Staff are available at nycc@toronto.ca to help with motions. As a note, Councillor Carroll and Robinson are unable to attend today, so I would ask members to remain in the chamber as much as possible so we can keep quorum. Are there any declarations of interest under the Municipal Conflict of Interest Act? If you do have an interest, please raise your hand or unmute your mic and indicate the number and nature of the interest. I see none. May I have a motion to confirm the minutes from our meeting of April 2nd, 2024? Moved by Councillor Cheng. Thank you very much. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. So we have 28 items on the agenda today, and we'll run through those items. Item 3.1, 2 Hawksdale Road, application to remove a private tree. We're going to hold that for speakers. Item number 2, 237 Bedford Park Avenue, application to remove a city tree. That is also being held for speakers. Councillor Cole, that is your item. Item number 3, 824 Sheppard Avenue West, 177, 179, 181 Cocksfield Avenue, zoning amendment, rental housing demolition and conversion application, decision report approval. I'll just hold that down. No motions, no speakers. I just wanted to say a few words before it gets adopted. NY 13.4, series of addresses on Lawrence Avenue West, series of addresses on Avenue Road, official plan amendment and zoning bylaw amendment application. Councillor Cole, that is your item, and we will hold it for speakers. Item number 5, 47 Ranleigh Avenue, zoning amendment application. Decision report. This is being held for speakers, and I'll move it on behalf of Councillor Robinson. Number 6, 501 and 503 Eglinton Avenue East, and a series of addresses on Cleveland Street, zoning amendment decision report approval. Once again, we're going to hold that for speakers. Number 7, 339 Lawrence Avenue East, 966 Don Mills, and 169 the Donway. Part lot control exemption application decision report. Councillor Burnside.
Yeah, I'm still waiting for IT. I can't get on my computer, but I think it's staff recommendations. I'll move.
That's all right. We can move it. 13.7, moved by Councillor Burnside. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 13.8, 56 Finch Avenue West, zoning amendment decision report. Councillor Cheng.
I'd like to move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved for 56 Finch Avenue West. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 9, 298 Newton Drive, zoning amendment, decision report approval. Councillor Cheng.
I'd like to move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations move for 298 Newton Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 10, 788 Sheppard Avenue West, a residential demolition application. I'm going to hold the item down, and I'm leaning towards moving recommendation number 3, demolition with conditions. 13.11, to Lailey Crescent, residential demolition application. Councillor Cheng.
I'd like to move approval with conditions.
Okay. Item number, there it is on the screen. Option number 3 is on the screen. Councillor Cheng is moving that. Approving the demolition with conditions. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 12, Faith Avenue, traffic calming, speed humps. I will move the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 13, Norcross Road and Dunsmore Gardens. I will move the staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 14, we'll hold that down for speakers. Bathurst Manor Neighbourhood Mobility Plans. Speakers and I have amendments on the item. Number 15, via Bagnato, traffic calming speed humps. Councillor Cole.
I'll move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations for via Bagnato, traffic calming speed humps. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Brookview Drive, traffic calming speed humps.
I'll move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations. Staff recommendations moved on number 16, Brookfield Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 17, Dane Avenue and via Bagnato, parking amendments.
I'll move staff recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved by Councillor Carroll.
Councillor Cole.
I do apologize.
Yeah.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 18, Eccleston Drive, traffic calming speed humps. Councillor Burnside.
Move recommendations.
Staff recommendations moved on number 18, Eccleston Drive. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 19, Yonge Street and Kempford Boulevard. U-turn prohibition. Councillor Burnside?
It's actually Councillor Chang. Ward 18, move staff recommendations.
Yeah, I do. You are correct. It is your ward. I don't know why it says both Ward 16 and Councillor Burnside. So I'll defer to Councillor Cheng. And you'd like to move the staff recommendations?
Yes, that's right.
Okay.
Thank you.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 20, 51 Tanbark Crescent, application for fence exemption. That's being held for speakers. Number 21, 51 Wimpole Drive, application for fence exemption. Hold for speakers. 22, 8 Valley Ridge Place. We're going to hold that for a speaker. 1323, 130 Goulding Avenue, application for a fence exemption, and we're going to hold that for speakers. $1324 Homewood.
I have
Sorry,
a
13
motion to defer.
Okay, it's on the screen. 214 Homewood Avenue, application for fence exemption is being deferred to the next scheduled community council meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 1325, 311 Patricia Avenue, application for fence exemption.
There's a speaker.
Speaker?
Yep.
26, 335 Burnett Avenue, application for fence exemption.
I have a motion to defer.
Okay, motion is on the screen to defer to the next scheduled community council meeting. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 13.27, 79 Yorkview Drive, application for fence exemption. And I understand you,
Motion to defer.
this one
July,
would be to
yep.
July. Okay. Okay, all those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. North York, 13.28, appointment of public members to the North Toronto Memorial Arena. And this falls within the jurisdiction of Mike Cole, Councillor Cole.
Move staff recommendation.
Staff recommendations moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Any new items? No? All good? Okay, we're back to the top of the agenda. Item 13.1, to Hawksdale Road. I understand we have a speaker on the item. Jonathan Bensikowski. There we go. Okay, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Good morning. So the application before you is for the removal of a private tree. And I think it's important to stress it's a private tree. This is on the owner's property. Maria and Luis Macedo bought the property back in 2021. At that time, Mr. Macedo was undergoing some physiotherapy on his shoulder, which involved creams and things like that. Rashes started to develop throughout Mr. Macedo's body. He was under the impression at that point that it was from the medication he was taking as part of his physiotherapy. When the medications were changed, the symptoms never went away. The symptoms became worse and worse and worse to the point where he had to go to his doctor, where he was diagnosed with a type of allergic urticaria, which is caused from the blue spruce tree, the pollen that is from it. I have submitted to the council a letter from his doctor indicating the issue, how it's exacerbated. And again, because this is a private tree located in his front lawn, Mr. Macedo is not able to sit on his front porch due to the allergic reaction he gets. He's also not able to tend to his garden or move rocks or mow the lawn. In my opinion, because this is a private tree that is causing a health issue for Mr. Macedo, it should be fairly straightforward, I believe, to be able to remove this tree. Mr. Macedo is happy to plant 5 trees as a replacement for the one he is removing on his private property.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? I have a couple. This allergic reaction, has he been seeing medical attention for it?
Correct, Mr. Pasnick. I did submit a letter from his physician indicating the cream he has been prescribed. That does help it. But yes, he is under the care of a physician, and that letter has been submitted for your review.
And he's been at the house for how long?
Since 2021. It is exacerbated during the summer months when it pollens in the spring coming into the summer, which coincides with when you'd like to spend your time in your yard.
And this condition started when he moved in,
Correct.
and he can link it to the tree.
Correct, as it is from the letter that was submitted from his physician. Speaking exactly to that allergic reaction he obtains. There's a pollen that develops, and as that pollen falls, that's when it's exacerbated, and he's really unable to sit in his front or even walk through his front yard.
Does he work? Is he able to go about his normal routine, his daily routine?
Yes, yeah,
Going
he is
to
retired.
work, or?
Mr. Macedo is retired, so he spends the bulk of his time at home.
And there's a construction project planned for the property.
There is an approval for a new dwelling on the property, correct?
And the driveway cannot be built unless the tree is removed?
Correct. But regardless of that, Mr. Pasternak, the tree would need to be removed for Mr. Macedo's health.
Got it. Okay, thank you very much. Questions for staff?
Sorry, can I would like to ask the
Sorry,
gentleman a
Councillor
question?
Burnside, go ahead. Sorry, could the deputy return? Thank you. Councillor Burnside.
So sorry, how long has the, I guess your client lived at this address?
Since 2021,
Oh, so he moved in.
correct.
Okay. So how long has he had this allergy?
It started in 2022 when the pollination started in the spring, summer months. So they bought in the late 2021 when there wasn't any pollen on the tree. As 2022 came and the pollen started, that's when the condition appeared.
And so he was unaware of this allergy he's had all his life?
It's
presumably?
just to the type of pollen of this individual blue spruce tree.
Right, but there are blue spruce trees in the city, but he's never had a reaction before?
I think he may have in the past. He is here. We could ask him. But what I would say to that is, through the prolonged exposure, maybe it was just a passing thing where he was itchy. But now it's really exacerbated by living there, being around it. He found it out really when he was readjusting some rocks under the tree, and he went in and he was horribly itchy. I also do have some photos of the condition of what it's causing when he's there.
Wow, I never heard of that one before, but in terms of this allergy. But okay, thank you.
And again, it is in a doctor's letter that was
Oh, no, I can read
submitted.
it. Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Any other questions for the deputy and Councillor Chang?
So I'm hearing that the owner is willing to plant 5 trees. Are there tree allergy tests? Because how will he know what trees to plant?
It would be that spruce, that type of a
So that's
spruce
the only
pollen.
kind of tree that
That's-
he's allergic to?
That's that type of pollen, correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Chang. Any more questions for the deputant? No. Okay, thank you very much. Questions for staff?
I have a question.
Councillor Cole?
Yes, this is the first I've heard of this new allergy. I know we have people coming regularly about black walnuts is usually the favorite. Can you enlighten me about this allergy to blue spruce, is it?
Through the
Not the deputant, this is for staff.
Through the chair, thank you. I'm reluctant to speak to the medical issues that are at the table because forestry staff aren't qualified. I would redirect the question and simply say that regardless of whether the allergy issue is true or valid or extent or anything like that, forestry wouldn't have the authority to approve the permit, even if we were satisfied that it was the case. There's nothing in the private tree bylaw that gives us the authority to make a decision on that basis, which is why we've denied the application. It has been appealed, and that brings it to community council.
And we, as a matter of fact, routinely stop the removal of private trees on private property because we want to maintain the tree canopy in Toronto, right?
Yes.
So we not only try to prohibit the cutting down of public trees on public property, But as a matter of course, we also stopped the removal of private trees because we want to preserve Toronto's air quality and tree canopy, right?
Correct. Where we have the tools to refuse a tree application, a healthy tree application, forestry will do so.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Burnside.
Thank you, through you to staff. How many years' experience do you have in your current role?
Cautious where this is going. In my current role, almost 10.
10, okay. Have you ever dealt with a blue spruce pollen allergy in 10 years?
No.
Interesting. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. I have a few questions for staff. Did the homeowner submit an arborist report?
Yes, one has been submitted. It's in connection with a broader application that includes construction that's planned for the property as well.
So I know a lot is focused on the medical issues related to this tree, but would the construction requirements alone deem the removal?
They would, however, there's a zoning compliance issue that I can speak to broadly, which is that a non-flanking variance would be required to build the driveway that conflicts with the tree. If that driveway were to be built, we fully acknowledge that it would conflict with the tree and the tree would then need to be removed. But at this time, it's forestry's understanding that the property doesn't have the zoning to permit a driveway on that side, that non-flanking side of the property.
Should this property owner, maybe this is for planning, should they have gone to committee of adjustment?
There was a committee of adjustment application in late 2023, and a number of variances were secured. To the best of forestry's understanding, that specific variance was missed. I have done my best to reach an understanding with the zoning examiner or zoning review department and confirmed that my understanding appears to be correct, but they are here today as well and can speak to it if necessary.
All right. All right, we'll leave it at that. And if we do grant the request, they are required to plant a combination of 5 replacement trees and potentially with cash in lieu as well.
If that was a question, the answer is yes.
Okay. All right, thank you very much. Speakers on the item? Is that it?
Yeah.
Councillor Burnside, you'd like to speak?
Yeah, I think so. Why not? So I'm very confused by this situation. I did actually look up pine tree allergy, and apparently there is one, fairly uncommon as it is. And I would it's just very strange to me, and this is just an observation, not an accusation, but it's just strange that there's a proposal for a driveway and then there are health issues as well. But all that said, the fact that the individual is willing to plant the 5 trees, I will vote in favor, although I still have questions.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Any other speakers on the item before I speak? Okay, so I'm going to move a motion to grant the request, and there's really 2 things happening here. There seems to be a planned construction project in which the tree has to be removed to complete the project. A zoning mess is beyond the jurisdiction of this body, so we can only rule on whether we're granting the approvals to the request to remove the privately owned tree. I can only take it at their word that this property owner has a medical condition and allergic reactions that's affecting his health and his personal enjoyment. As someone who had allergies over the years, I know how much that can cause suffering So the motion is on the screen. I'm going to approve the removal of this tree. They are required to plant 5 replacement trees, and potentially in a combination of cash and lieu. They can work that out with forestry. If in fact they have a zoning compliance issue that's beyond the jurisdiction of this body, you're going to have to go back to committee of adjustment and make sure you have all ducks in order to build your driveway. But from the point of view of this body, I'm putting before my colleagues approval for the removal of the trees. So that part is complete here. But I would strongly urge you to make sure your zoning compliance issues are also in order. So that's green. That motion is on the screen. Oh. Yeah, so Councillor Cheng has asked for a variation of procedures and asked to speak.
So I've just been alerted that in fact the owner is not planning on planting replacement trees and is going to be doing cash in lieu. I also did some research, and it says that blue spruce species have no allergy that's been reported for the allergenicity of this species of trees. So it's very strange to me the intersection of a project and an allergy that in some areas of the internet are saying there is no such allergy associated with this species of trees. So I feel that, if there was no construction, then that would be one thing. But the fact that there is a construction happening and it coincides with the need of this tree to be removed, I am skeptical. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cheng. And the first thing I would caution about getting medical advice from the internet is do not get medical advice from the internet. So we'll leave it at that. We'll put it up to a vote. If you wish to vote against it, that's your... Councillor Cole.
Yeah, I think this is a real curious combination here, as Councillor Cheng has said. In all my years, I have never heard of an allergy from a spruce tree. Because as you know, we constantly get people coming here with doctor's reports about allergy to trees, and they've got to cut the tree down. So I just, I'm very skeptical, and I just don't claim to be an internet medical expert or anything, but my gut tells me there's something here that is really not comfortable. So I'm going to support Councillor Cheng in being very skeptical about this application to remove this tree.
Okay, I'm asking for a recorded vote. The motion is on the screen to approve the privately owned tree, and with the condition that the applicant is to provide 5 replacement trees, which can be achieved in a combination of on-site planting and cash in lieu, to the satisfaction of the General Manager of Parks, Forestry, and Recreation. All those in favor? Councillor Pasternak, all those against? That loses. I'm very sorry. Yeah, we still have to make a final decision on this report, so we need someone to move the staff recommendation.
I'll move staff recommendations.
Councillor Cheng is moving staff recommendations. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Number 2, 237 Bedford Park Avenue, application to remove a private tree. We have speakers on the item. Ali Tavoko is online.
Morning, councillors and all the members of the city council today. I'm here to request the removal of the tree in 237 Bedford
Sorry, we're
Park
having trouble
Avenue.
hearing. Can we put the volume up a little bit?
Of course. I would like to request the tree removal of the tree located on 237 Bedford Park. And I would like to share some presentations. So this is the plan of the house, the site plan, and the location of the tree. The tree is located in the middle of the 24-foot wide lot, and it has a very challenging position. Although we did our best to find a solution to keep the tree, after many consultations with experts and arborists and many emails to water department for the City of Toronto, it is now clear that the suggested method by the forestry for keeping the tree is not viable.
I'm sorry,
Even if
sorry to interrupt for a sec. Are you trying to
Yes.
put something on the screen? Because we don't see it.
I have already submitted the same PDF. It's number 3, but I would like to show the pictures if possible. There are some pictures and photos on the PDF name number 3 that has been submitted before the meeting.
Yeah, just click number 3 if that's what you want to show us.
Sure.
And you'll have to do it. Yeah, you'll have to do it at your end.
Sorry, I think you're not seeing what my presentation. Are you able to see it now?
Yeah, you might have to proceed without the visuals.
Okay, sure, of course. So these documents I've already submitted to the meeting prior, and the situation is that this city forestry is recommending a tunneling technique for installation of the water and sewer. And after all my due diligence, unfortunately, it is not possible. And there's still need for the excavation in combination with the tunneling technique. So considering dimension and the location of the tree, dimension of the excavation, the tree will be damaged no matter what other technique is added to excavation. Therefore, safety of my neighbors and the working staff and other family will be compromised due to the hazardous situation caused by keeping this tree. There is a tree in the middle, and we have also a hydro pole on the east side of the lot. It is not feasible to perform a water and sewer installation using a tunneling technique without going through the tree protection zone. It was falsely brought up by the forestry department as an incredible way of installation. Unfortunately, not only the complete tunneling is not possible, it does not even exist. There is not such method. It is always in combination with excavation as per city water department. I have proved that there is a still need for excavation even with a tunneling technique from the email I've got from the water department. The whole forestry defense was based on the marvelous way of doing everything under the ground, which was not only cost significantly higher, but also it is not possible to be done. After 6 months of talking to more than 10 people, including project manager, engineer from the City of Toronto, I was able to finally get an email as a proof that such technique does not exist, and we still have to excavate the area by 8 foot deep. The hydro pole on the east side requires minimum safe distance of 2 meters away from it. And please do consider the fact that we're talking about a 24-foot wide lot. It's not that much. I have contacted 2 arborists, and I got their professional opinion that the tree would not survive. Our contractors, neighbors are having safety concerns. I have expressed the hazardous situation and any risk related to it would not be on us. Therefore, removing the tree is the most viable option to ensure the safety and the functionality of the property. In summary, please picture a 70 centimeter wide tree in the middle of a 24-foot wide property, a hydropole on the east side, and the excavation in order to install the water pipes would be have a depth of 9 feet, even with a tunneling technique. It would definitely affect the area. Neighbor buildings, if you please look at the pictures that I've submitted on the same PDF number 3, I took some pictures for the neighbor on the east, neighbor on the west side. They both have buildings that they had to remove the tree, and now the city planted a brand new tree for them. So it's had happened before in our street and likely to our neighbors. And neighbors are having concern about the safety of our tree and already contacted city for the same reason, and we have their request on the system. A note for forestry. Please do consider the fact that the tree protection zone is covering the entire front of the house, even with the horizontal and vertical hoarding. The horizontal hoarding that is going to give us some access is not possible because eventually the city contractor need to excavate the area, so it's a redundant activity. Even the emails from forestry indicate that if any root tree larger than 3 inches is cut, the tree will die. So how are you expecting to excavate 9 foot deep without any damage to roots? And please do consider it's not us, it's a city tree, and city contractor are going to do the job. For the 6 month, city forestry was talking about the method that does not exist in real world and made their whole case based on a non-viable fact. City contractor have no other option to excavate the area. Now we have the proof that even with the tunneling technique, we still have to excavate. As I emailed the forestry multiple times, my team and I do not believe that these suggestions
If you could
can
wrap
work.
up, please. Your time is up.
We do not want to be part of this hazardous consequence. We completely
Okay.
disagree with what the tree forestry is proposing.
Okay, thank you very much. Questions for the deputant? Councillor Cole?
I have for staff.
No, okay. Thank you very much for your comments. Councillor Cole, questions for staff?
Yes, again, this has been ongoing for deferral here. It's getting very technical. I just want to ask staff, have you looked into whether it's Toronto Water or whether it's forestry, Parks and Forestry, looked into whether it's possible to hook up the sewer system, the water, with the new house that's being built there and protecting the tree? Have you looked into that?
Through the chair, absolutely we have. We've expended a significant amount of energy and consultation to reach the determination that we have. Some of the deputant's comments about tunneling and excavation don't match our understanding, are in fact are quite far from our understanding of it. We have secured resources from Toronto Water to be available today, and they can speak to the matter if you have technical questions of them this morning. But if I could try to break it down a little bit, tunneling and excavation are not mutually exclusive or not impossible. Trenching would be the simplest way to install the water services and the sewer services. Tunneling underneath the tree would, to everything that we understand, is absolutely possible. Excavation is necessary for the start and end of the tunneling. So the equipment has to be lowered to the appropriate depth, and an excavation has to be done for that. There would also need to be excavation to install the shutoff valves and inspection ports for the water and sewer services respectively. It is our understanding that that there's enough flexibility in the location of those vertical excavations that they can be placed far enough away from the tree to not require its removal. The services themselves could be shifted laterally towards the property lines. The utility pole that was mentioned is not a substantial conflict, according to our understanding of the matter with Toronto Water. And the inspections can be placed closer, the inspection, the shutoff valves and vent for the sewer can be placed closer to the property line, the city private property line, which would place them farther away from the tree. So we've done a lot of mental work on this, and we aren't water experts, but to the best of our understanding, the removal is not necessary. I'm sorry that took so long.
No, I appreciate the amount of time you spent on this. I really, I'm grateful that you took so much time to really examine this. If I could have Toronto Water comment on this application to remove the tree and whether or not it's viable to hook up the services, et cetera, for this new home build, if Toronto Water could comment?
It's Antonio Longo with Toronto Water. Basically, all the comments that the gentleman from Parks just indicated are exactly like we've been in consultation with each other. But yes, we basically would be able to tunnel, depending on the alignment of where the new servicing is going to go, underneath the tree, and install vertical pipes, one for a clean out and one for a curb stop at street line. And we can we do it every day, Councillor, with types of situations. So the tree does not have to be removed in order to install these services for this particular address. So
did I hear you say that you do this every day or quite often? Or you see this take place?
That's correct, Councillor. That's correct.
So it is a common accepted engineering practice to undertake this type of vertical tunneling underneath the tree. And what do they do with a machine, or what does the tunneling? Is it like a boring machine or a small little boring machine? What do they do?
No, we have an access pit on the roadway, and we actually construct a cap and lag tunnel. It's 4x4, and we start, like I say, in the open excavation, usually on the roadway, and we tunnel right up to the street line, and then we use a vacuum excavation truck to suck out basically 1 foot by 1 foot hole, depending on the depth of the drain, straight down vertically, and then we insert a pipe and we connect it in the tunnel.
Yeah, and can I ask, you don't have to answer this question, but how many years have you been working with Toronto Water?
37 years, Councillor.
How many?
37.
37?
That's correct.
Oh my God, you deserve a medal or a plaque or some kind of recognition. You put in 37 years, my God. Anyways, thank you for your, again, time on this, for your experienced evaluation. It really has been helpful. Thank you, sir. And thank you for your 37 years of service, too.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for staff? Councillor Burnside?
Yeah, thank you. So these measures that can be taken by Toronto Water, et cetera, is there an additional cost to drill or do whatever they're doing rather than the norm?
Yes, with respect to tunneling, there is an extra cost for it. It is more expensive than open excavation.
How much?
It all depends on the length and the location of where we're doing the tunneling.
Approximately? Like, does it double? Is it
say-
20%? Is it 10? Like, just kind of a round figure. I don't need an exact.
Depending on the depth or whatever, I would say it's probably an extra 20-25% on top of it. But we're only talking about the tunneling of the actual drain itself. The water service is, there's an open excavation at the main, and there's an open excavation at street line. we actually use a torpedo to insert the lines, at the connection points.
Oh, okay, cool. That's good to know. Would you say that the additional cost is negligible then?
Yeah, I would say so. When we have, it's not just trees that we have to use tunneling for. There's also, when you have a very nice landscaping or a lot of hard structures, not just trees, it could be retaining walls or whatever. It's a lot easier to do it in tunnel than it is to rip everything apart and then try to put it all together again.
Sorry, I'm just going to interject.
at the end
Yeah,
of the
no, I'm not even disputing that. I'm just trying to understand if the incremental cost is negligible.
Yes, it is.
Okay, thank you. Yep, that's fine. Thanks. Okay, through the chair to staff, different staff, if the tree were to die as a result of the construction, then what?
Through the chair, we have if this application to remove the tree were denied, we would require the applicant, if they wish to go forward with construction, to provide a satisfactory tree protection plan. There would be an injury of the tree. Injury in that context means an encroachment into the tree protection zone. We have a threshold that we apply for any injury application. We have to be satisfied that the tree will tolerate the injury and continue to survive well afterwards. We won't approve the injury until that threshold is met. Meaning they have to provide us with a plan that will give us every expectation that the tree will survive through the project. So if it doesn't survive, that means the plan wasn't followed, and we have measures to address with that through our compliance and enforcement division, et cetera.
Right, that was
Not
my
exactly.
question. What happened? What are those measures? So if it dies, for whatever, what then? What, is there a penalty, a financial penalty? Is it a set, what happens if that tree were to die?
Through the chair, there's a lot of ifs to that answer. If it can be proven that it dies through malice, then we would have the option to prosecute. If we cannot document why it died, it would probably fall to the city to replace the tree at its own expense.
Okay, so you'd have to prove that it were malicious, which may or may not happen. And so if it dies and you can't prove that, then now there's a cost to the city and we don't get 5 trees.
Correct.
Okay. What measures would you take during construction to ensure that the plan is followed? I know there's a tree protection zone, for instance. What measures would the good folks from your department be taking?
Through the chair, the tree protection plan would be required to have elements that are satisfactory. The applicant mentioned vertical and horizontal hoarding. Prior to our release of the permit to the applicant, we would physically inspect the site or inspect photos to ensure that hoarding is installed according to the plan. And we schedule follow-up inspections some months, usually about 3 months after the construction is underway, to confirm that hoarding remains in place as it was planned to be.
Would you agree that a lot of your inspections are a result of neighbors phoning in, maybe the councillor's office, maybe 311, to express concern that obvious measures such as the integrity of the tree protection zone aren't protected, and that it's very much a reactionary approach?
I would agree that a lot of inspections occur as a result of that. I could not say what the proportion or the relative proportion of those inspections as compared to proactive inspections would be.
Okay, yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Any other questions for staff? Speakers? Councillor Cole?
Yeah, no, listen, I know the applicant's trying to do his best and undertake this construction of this house, and the trees in the way of his idea of the needed construction. But again, I just want to reiterate what staff said. Parks Forestry said very clearly that there's a way of protecting the tree. and also Toronto Water. So we've deferred this from last week, from last meeting last month, to give staff more time to evaluate and assess the issues raised by the applicant. And as you can see, our staff has spent a lot of hours on this to make sure that it was examined carefully. So in light of the expert advice from our staff, who have had, as I said, up to 37 years' experience of this type of work, I will vote to deny the request to remove this tree. Thank you.
Any other speakers on the item? No? Okay, Councillor Cole is moving staff recommendations, which is to deny the request to remove the city-owned tree. All those in favor? Opposed? I'll lose is on a tie. At this stage, I think we can't send it to council without recommendation. Okay, so Councillor Burnside, did you want to move a motion to approve of the request?
Sure.
Okay. I'm going to break the deadlock here. Okay, so all those in favor of approving the removal? Councillor Burnside, all those against? Okay. Councillor Cole, would you like to move your motion again?
Yeah, I move staff recommendation that the request to remove the tree be denied.
Okay, we had a little debate on how to do this procedurally. I need a motion to reopen. Councillor Cheng, all those in favor? Opposed? Okay, let's start from the beginning again. Councillor Cole, you were moving staff recommendations, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, staff recommendations are being moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That carries. That item is done. Item number 3, 824 Sheppard Avenue West. I will release the item, release the hold. I will simply thank staff for their work on this file. Obviously it started off with good optimism that it was going to be purpose-built rental at Cocksfield and Sheppard. There were a number of concerns of the community that we tried to address, including entry and exits from the building, which we moved onto Sheppard Avenue. This also holds an old Section 37 agreement, which the property owner has agreed to adhere to. We plan to use those funds in the Irv Chapley Phase 3 enhancement. So I am urging my colleagues to support staff recommendations, but at the same time, I'm going to continue to work with the community to mitigate any concerns that they have. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. We have speakers on the item. Frank DeCiso. Yes, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Is the mic? Yes, the mic is working. My name is Frank DeChico. I thank you, Chairperson, and all the councilors for this opportunity to speak here this morning. I'm speaking on behalf of almost 200 residential homes immediately north of the First Capital application on the other side of Douglas Avenue. This community is made up of 2 condominium corporations, York Condominium Corporation 503 and YCC 494. I'm here not as a lawyer or an urban planner or traffic engineer. I'm an elected board of the YCC 503, and I'm just simply a resident. Now, our concerns are focused on a single aspect of the application, that is the proposal to connect a new public road to Douglas Avenue. Please note that our community, again, almost 200 homes, is completely dependent on Douglas Avenue. It is the only road available to us to come and go from our homes and to receive emergency and building services. We have carefully reviewed the transportation impact study provided by First Capital, authored by the BA Group and dated December 2023, and we respectfully have found several important deficiencies. Now, I have submitted a issues list, so we've created the document with all our issues, a diagram, a table. I trust that it's in the appropriate hands, and I'll just be very brief in my summary. Our primary concern is the lack of justification for connecting the new road to Douglas Avenue. Now, the transportation study does cite working sessions with city staff in quotations, but we are unable to find documentation providing transparency on the nature of the discussions and who participated. The community that I'm representing today certainly were not engaged. We do expect to see a compelling argument with supporting analysis to justify such a major change, a change that we believe will be greatly detrimental to an existing community of almost 200 residential homes. Without justification, we are opposed to the proposal to connect the new road with Douglas Avenue. Now, notwithstanding our opposition to connecting the new road to Douglas Avenue, again, respectfully, we feel that there are several gaps in the analysis of the transportation impact study provided. For example, the study fails to acknowledge the existence of 3 driveways located on the north side of Douglas Avenue. 2 of these are garage driveways, and 1 is a waste management service driveway. None of the drawings in the study mark these driveways. Now, I'm going to try to, I'll see how well this works. Right? All right, so it's not very legible. This is in the issues list that was submitted, but you can see, can you hear me okay? Yeah? All right. Okay, so you can see at the very top is Douglas Avenue. On the left and west is Avenue Road. On the bottom and south is Lawrence Avenue West. And to the right, you can see the curved proposed new road. So at the very top, I've just marked the existing driveways, which were not marked in the transportation study. So you can see the garage driveway, you can see the waste storage driveway between the proposed new road and Avenue Road. I'd like to point out that the edge of the garage driveway, so between the new road and Avenue Road, that's only about 40 meters edge to edge. And the garage driveway is only about 7 meters from the existing stop sign at Avenue Road and Douglas Avenue. So,
All right. You're pretty well out of time.
oh,
I mean, you do have a few seconds left. Just a reminder, we are not approving this, this application today. We are giving staff direction to fight it. But are there any questions for the deputant?
Yeah, thank you for the time you've spent on this. Do you realize this is before the provincial government right now?
I do. You're asking me if I realize? I understand that there's upcoming conferences with the Ontario Tribunal, yes.
So you realize this is a legal proceeding that's taking place at the tribunal?
Counselor, I'm not very familiar with the workings, but I'm here today just to get assurance that our concerns are being heard and addressed.
Yeah, no, again, you're not the only person that's not aware of this complication, but the provincial planning rules have all been changed. So this applicant took this application to the tribunal immediately.
Okay.
So therefore, it's basically, for the most part, out of our hands as counselors. We can't even comment on it.
I see.
But anyways, what I will say, though, is that there are, I think, two community groups that are participants in the tribunal hearings. It was your group, not one of them. I think it was the Bedford Park and the, what was it called, the Lytton Park. They're there as participants. Were you not, it's the condos just directly north, right?
It's immediately north, yes.
Did you ask to be participants in the tribunal?
We have participant status. We felt that we were very late in the game because we weren't aware of the fairly recent change to the plan. So again, I'm just here to make sure that we're covering all our bases and that our concerns are at the appropriate tables.
Yeah, no, I understand that. Again, this is a familiar pattern that's happening because there's so many applications that are at the tribunal. But anyways, we appreciate what you've put forward, and you're going to find we can't say anything here because of the legal implications. And maybe I'll let staff just clarify that. But I appreciate your efforts because this is what all communities are going through right now with this complex tribunal process.
Thank you, Councillor Cole.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cole. Are there any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much for your remarks. Questions for staff?
Yeah, if you just could help the applicant, Mr. DeCecco, the complexity of what we face as councillors or staff, given this is before the provincial government's tribunal.
Through you, Mr. Chair, the matter is now, as the councillor indicated, before the Ontario Land Tribunal, and that means that it is very difficult to discuss the merits of the matter in open session like this. We cannot give advice to councillors or speak about our intentions in open session because we are in litigation.
Yes, anyways, thank you for that short speech. But anyways, thank you. That's fine. I'll just make a few comments.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other questions for staff? Just a reminder to all, it's a directional report. We're not voting on this application. Councillor Cole, did you want to speak?
Yes, I just want to say I appreciate Mr. DeCecco coming here today, expressing concern about one of the provisions in this very complex application at the corner of Avenue Road and Lawrence. But rest assured that your comments, I will make sure that, I don't even know if I can say this, but I will make sure it's passed on to our staff, our transportation staff, for their consideration as they go through this legal process at the tribunal. And so I'd appreciate, thank you for taking that time on behalf of all the residents there, because we want to get this right. And in this report here, basically we're directing staff to go to the Ontario Land Tribunal hearings and oppose the application as is, and continue to dialogue with the applicant to see if we can deal with the complexities of this application. So that's what we're here today to do, and as we do in so many applications nowadays, and unfortunately the residents of Toronto have never been informed of all these changes by the provincial government, where they've undertaken massive changes to planning, where they've taken planning really out of our hands and overridden it with the lawyers at the Ontario Land Tribunal. But at least our staff can go to the tribunal and represent the residents, represent the council's position. And so our lawyers and our planning staff will go there and do the best they can. And this is another case where a development application has gone to the tribunal. And the tribunal makes the ultimate decision. And so, but our staff is going there to try and do the best they can for the residents, for these issues that are always complex in such a significant development here. So I'm going to move staff recommendation that council sends staff to the Ontario Land Tribunal hearing in opposition of the proposal in its current form. So I'm moving staff recommendation.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Cole. Any other speakers on the item? Staff recommendations are being moved. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 13.5, 47 Ranleigh Avenue zoning amendment application. I have one speaker on the item. Matthew Halo. Welcome. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, councillors. I registered to speak in anticipation of other speakers on this application on the basis that they've submitted written correspondence to council. My name is Matthew Halo. I'm a senior planner with Weston Consulting. I'm the authorized agent and planner representing the landowner. On behalf of the landowner, I'd like to thank you for providing us the opportunity to present to you today a proposal that contemplates a 16 unit building, 4 stories, at 47 Ranleigh, an infill development that generally conforms with the official plan. I'm here to answer any questions that council may have. We've reviewed the staff recommendation report, and would like to thank staff for their efforts. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Questions for the deputant? Just a reminder, this is Councillor Robinson's item, and I'll be moving staff recommendations on her behalf. No? Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Any questions for staff? Any speakers? Can we just maybe give a quick hug and come back, because we're going to be voting on this item? Councillor Cole? Just a quick hug, and then we need you back here to vote on this item.
I'll be back.
Okay, great, thanks. Bring some coffees while you're at it. Okay, so we're on item 13.5, 47 Ranleigh Avenue. The message we got from Councillor Robinson's office is to move staff recommendations. So I will do that on her behalf. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. 13.6, 501 and 503 Eglinton Avenue East, and a series of addresses on Cleveland Street. We do have a speaker on the item, Kevin McCrow. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
You have 5 minutes.
Thank you. Through the chair, my name is Kevin McCrow. I'm a senior planner with W&D Associates. We are the planners and agents acting on behalf of 389 Cleveland Street LP for this application. We have nothing further to add to the staff recommendation report. We thank Angela Zhao, our senior planner, and Michael Sakalauskas, our urban designer, for that report. We support the recommendations and conclusions. We understand that there are no conditions other than 2 being recommended through the staff report. And we have nothing further to add other than we look forward to working with staff at the site plan application stage. Thank you. I'm also available if there's any questions of us.
Thank you very much. Any questions for the deputant? No. Thank you very much. Any questions for staff? So this is Councillor Robinson's item, and I'll move it on her behalf. Councillor Cole? We do need you back here. We're tight for quorum today, and we're voting on an item. Great. Do you have those coffees? No?
Just trying to explain the Ontario Land Tribunal functioning in 2 minutes.
Oh, no, it's not an easy task. Okay, so 13.6, 501, 503 Eglinton Avenue East, and a series of addresses on Cleveland Street, zoning amendment. I will move the staff recommendations on behalf of Councillor Robinson. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I'm at, yes, so we are on 13.10, 788 Sheppard Avenue West, residential demolition application. I don't have any speakers on the item. Are there any questions for staff? Okay. I will move recommendation number 3, approve the demolition with conditions. Members? My motion is on the screen. I'm approving option 3. It's approving the demolition with conditions. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. I think we're at item number 14. We have speakers on the item. Zev Kaufman. This is the Bathurst Manor Neighbourhood Mobility Plan. Mr. Kaufman, you're online? Can you hear us? Mr. Kaufman, unmute. Can you hear us? All right, let's go to the next speaker. Hopefully we can bring Mr. Kaufman back on. Jeff Kinez. Also, oh, there you are. Okay. Mr. Kinez, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Okay, I got it. Good morning, councillors. Here on behalf of almost 24 residents living along Maxwell Street between Codsell and Brighton. I do have a few videos from directly in front of my home. I've only videoed for about half an hour, but it should show what we're dealing with on this street. I have suggested that a stop sign be installed, which was shot down pretty quickly, but I must stress that there's almost an entire kilometer of roadway there where vehicles reach very high speeds, and given we have a lot of small children in the area, it is one of our greatest fears, obviously. I don't know if you're aware, but there's already been 2 deaths on that street in the last 5 years. It is marked a 30-kilometer-an-hour zone. There is absolutely no enforcement. The residents have called police. We've called anybody we could. On any given day, you can witness people driving as much as 70, 80 kilometers an hour down this street, just because it's wide open and there's nothing impeding them from traveling. If I may, I'd like to show you a few videos, if that's okay. Sorry, the first video I will show is a vehicle traveling at about 30 kilometers an hour. And the reason I know that is because this is a neighbor of mine and I asked her to do that just so you can see the difference in speed. And you can see that there's a really long stretch of road there. The stop sign's not for another 2 blocks. And then we have this. This guy's probably traveling at about 50. I mean, I didn't have a radar gun, but as soon as he saw me, they slowed down. And this is an ongoing thing. But it's all day long. This was half an hour of filming. That's essentially it. We have submitted a petition, which you have, correct? That is all. Thank you for your time.
Just a couple of questions. Before I go, any questions from, no? So Bathurst Manor seems very polarized over speed humps. Are you aware that many of your neighbors have come in here vigorously opposing these speed humps, not only in this forum, but in the public consultations?
Yeah, I am. And I'm also aware that most of the people speeding up and down the street are also the residents that live in the area.
So we're trying to find a compromise where we can slow people down on Maxwell without speed humps. Is that something you'd like to explore?
What do you recommend?
Automated speed enforcement, watch your speed technology, speed limits as low as it can go. Those are probably 2 of the best tools.
Absolutely. I mean, whatever works. We're certainly interested in that, but as I'm sorry, as I said, there was 24 people living along that street who signed the petition, and we're very eager to have something done. But
yeah. You are aware that a few years back we tried an experiment there called Quiet Streets.
Yes.
And it was also vigorously opposed.
Yes. Well, there was a number of issues going on. First, there was COVID at the same time. There was construction going on, and there was also I'm sorry, what was it called?
It was called Quiet Streets,
Quiet Streets.
And people were rabidly against it. Is probably an understatement.
Right.
Maybe it wasn't rolled out the way it should have been, but it did not get support locally.
Right.
I'm just saying we're trying everything. Okay.
Sure. As a resident, somebody that lives there and pays taxes and fears for the children's lives on the street, and as I mentioned, 2 people have already died, and one was a hit and run. I don't think the police have ever found the person who hit the lady. It's a very big problem, regardless of what people in the Bathurst Manor who live far away from this street think.
Okay.
But certainly,
I get the point,
something
and
needs
I
to
know
be done.
I know Maxwell very well. I have walked it, I have biked it, I have driven it.
Right.
I know the street very well. I watched the Quiet Streets program very well. I visited some of the residents who I believe have signed this petition to observe and learn, and I realize there's a problem there.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks
Thank
very
you.
much. Questions for staff? Oh, wait a minute. No, I have. We're going back to Azev Kaufman. Is he on the line? Yeah. Mr. Kaufman? Oh, there he is. Okay. Zev, go ahead. Oh, unmute your mic. We still can't hear you. Oh, we're having trouble. Zev, I'm sorry, we're having trouble hearing you. So we might have to come back to you in a couple minutes and work with our tech people to. Yeah, no, I'm really sorry. We just can't hear you. I see your mouth moving, but we can't hear you. Can you hear me? Put a thumbs up if you can hear me. Yeah? Okay. Okay, Zeb, we're going to have another speaker, and then we're going to come back to you in a few minutes, okay? Sam Jundler? Yeah, hi, Sam. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, hi. My name is Sam Jundler. I'd like to thank you for allowing me to speak today. I just have the opinion that I'm against speed humps, and I find that speed humps are being approved even with the objections and cautions from our emergency services. And why are the minority getting their way? The majority of residents have no idea of the plans, and that's one of my main points is most people don't even know this is happening. So as an engineer, I'm so troubled that so far that speed humps are being approved, even with the fact that both Toronto Fire and EMS expressed concerns. They both clearly state that the response times are impacted on streets on which humps are proposed, and both Hove and Maxwell are feeder streets, and I truly hope that this blind eye approach will stop from humps being considered today. These humps will impact the access and timely response of emergency vehicles to the residents. So both Toronto Fire and EMS express concerns mostly on the streets that the humps are on and the feeder streets that are affected, and both Hove and Maxwell are major thoroughfares into the area. So most residents don't have the idea of the proposed humps. I'm still 100% convinced that the residents in the manor have no idea of the plan for the remaining 51 humps. This is a major change that will affect generations, and the city must do a better job to ensure that the residents have actually received information for major changes that will impact their daily lives. On Saturday, May 4th, I spoke to people from four random households during my walk to Sheppard Plaza. Of the 7 people from these 4 households, zero of them even had heard of the plans for speed humps. 2 of these households are located on Maxwell, and in all 4 cases, they did not favor humps. The result also agrees with my findings from other conversations, and I'll show about them later. So the city staff report, which everybody's been quoting so far before, didn't even use the effect of 50% of the majority should rule. And I'm quoting Mark Twain, if voting made any difference, they would not let us do it. So basically, from the city's report, 43% in the Bathurst Manor did not want speed humps, and 35% supported speed humps. So my results and other results in conversations with neighbors and random people on the street are totally different. Most had no idea of the plan and, by extension, the financial cost. Of the 22 people, that's households I found, 95%, that's 21 out of 22, did not support humps, and I found 1 person that was in favor of humps. And when I tried to explain the statistical science behind the fact that there is more risk to safety with speed humps, this neighbor's response was, "How often do you see an ambulance here?" So in other words, the ambulances aren't on patrol. They come when you need them, re-ring, re-bring. Okay, the ethical issue for me from the city's survey is that only 35% supported humps in part of the decision process. Now, the issue is both fire and EMS clearly state that residents on streets with humps and neighboring streets are affected most by humps. The ethical question is, should the opinions of residents that suffer no impact on the emergency response time be included in any consideration in the implementation of humps? Clearly, this is not fair or ethical for someone whose access to emergency vehicles is not affected to have any say over those living on streets that are clearly affected. Basically, they're putting their wants above others. So in conclusion, from an ethical analysis, should the 35% in favor be reduced to, say, 25% or even less, as a proper analysis must be done, and the number in favor must be reduced to make any final decision on 50 more humps. So that is ethically and morally sound. Even 35% does not respect the 50% majority customary in any democratic decision. My final opinion is based on my conversations with my random survey. I can only conclude that the vast majority of Bathurst Manor residents have no idea of the plan. City staff survey clearly shows that less than 50% are in favor of humps. For the same reason, staff report still goes ahead with recommending more humps, with the objections from Toronto Fire and comments from EMS. The remaining humps are recommended are on feeder streets and will affect response times for generations to come. As people's lives are affected, we should be using technology, as you mentioned earlier, not Stone Age methods. Please do not forget that the vast majority of accidents are at intersections. Humps are a waste of money and only give a perception of added safety, while the effects are actually negative. We can do better and use technology to reduce speeding, and why we choose not is a mystery to me and others. And in final conclusion, the city has to do a better job to inform and educate citizens. It is not good to spend such a vast amount of money that affects people's quality of life and no real benefit to public safety. And that's a policy report I quoted on my last time I spoke. The city should be doing a proper risk analysis using sound scientific practice to make city safer, not people's perceptions that makes what makes a neighborhood safer. The city will continue to waste valuable public money. More importantly, with the current approach, people become frustrated and do not trust politicians to make proper decisions. Most look at humps as a form of collective punishment. The effectiveness of speed humps is questionable. In the case of SUVs, they can often drive over the humps without even slowing
You're
down.
past your 5 minutes. If you could wrap up.
Okay, well, that's a bit, I'm just saying also from the environment, clearly speed humps, if you look at the Texas paper, are not helping.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, I got the message.
Yeah, okay.
You don't like them. I did gather that.
Yeah.
So no, thank you very much for your comments. And are there any questions for the deputy? Councillor Burnside.
Yeah, thank you. Through you. So I'm just and would love some clarification on the polling that you're talking about.
Right.
So could you just review that again? So how many people
Well, overall,
were in favor?
one out of...
Because you're talking about 50%, and that 50%, let me re-articulate the question. In terms of you're asking for a 50% plus one, I guess,
Right.
Majority. Is that 50% of all residents or of...
Well, I
people
would
who are
say of a
polled?
random poll, if you're going to properly do it. I mean, you can't get 50% of all residents. You can't even get them to vote in a...
So that's what I'm just trying to
federal
understand. What exactly because you were
Well, I
talking
think
about
to do it-
35% of those people who responded.
Well, that was
right?
the cities, and those are people that really attended the town hall and have been following the issue. So that's not going to the average person on the street. Because on the weekend when I went, I just went to 4 people I'd never spoke to on this issue before and asked them, and none of them were in favor. So, I mean, I could, by extension, keep going to more and more people, and I'm sure, eventually I'm going to find some. But even of the 22 people that I spoke to over the months, I could only find one that was in favor of them. And also, people are not aware of the issues when you explain to them that, you might perceive that speed bumps are going to help you, but accidents are at intersections. And then also, your response times from the emergency service.
Oh, no, I appreciate all your arguments. That wasn't, you're very articulate in your arguments. I was just kind of more confused about the participation and trying to understand if that's, the city goes through a process to reach people, right?
Right. But
And at some point, would you not agree that citizens need to be involved in their community and need to read the letters and respond? Like, we're getting 27% turnout in 2 provincial by-elections.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, at some point,
But
how much, should we put up signs? I don't know. I'm just kind of asking, not to be
Well, maybe a
argumentative. I'm
second-
just
a
sort of
second
saying,
go-around.
hold on. I appreciate your technical arguments. In fact, I sympathize with them. But the other one, I'm just sort of saying, at some point, your community needs to maybe read the paper, maybe read the flyer, maybe do something to be engaged. And this is a problem we have, whether
yeah.
it's bike lanes, speed bumps, I don't care what it is. After they go in, people lose their minds, as opposed to maybe just opening their eyes before
But the
before the
problem
fact,
is,
like you do,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, but we have to use technology. I mean, we're you know, it's not bumps. I mean, totally agree with the gentleman who spoke before me. I mean, but I drive those streets every day, and I mean, he lives there. He sees more speeders than I do, but you know, there are people speeding. There's no doubt about it. You can't. I'm not denying that, but I think we should use technology to stop them from speeding. And the accidents are happening at the intersections. They're not happening in the middle of nowhere. Like, people just don't, you know.
Yeah. Anyway, yeah, no, and I appreciate your arguments. I was just more on the outreach. I sort of take a
But
little
I
bit
tried
of
my
exception to
outreach,
that,
and I
but-
can't find,
Okay.
you know.
Thank you.
You're
Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Bernstein. I will address the outreach as well in my comments. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Questions for staff? Oh, so we're gonna keep coming back to Zev Kaufman. We're gonna try again to, oh, he's phoned in? Okay, Zev, can you hear me?
You hear me?
Yes, Zeb, we can hear you. So you have 5 minutes. Zev?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you. Go ahead, you have 5 minutes less.
Thank you. As I mentioned to you in the last council meeting about speed bumps on Hove Street, the data that was collected to show speeding was taken about 2 years ago when the speed limit was 40 kilometers per hour in that area. Since then, it was over to 30 kilometers per hour. That should significantly help the speeding issue in and of itself. On top of that, there was a lot of construction going on there at Bathurst and Sheppard at the time, forcing a lot of drivers to zip through the manor as well. That construction is finished now, so that also should alleviate the speeding issue. As far as the speed bumps themselves, as you heard from the other speakers, I checked online. The average time a speed bump slows down emergency vehicle is about 7 seconds. If you put in 8 speed bumps on Hove from Sheppard to Maxwell, it's approximately 1 kilometer. You'll cause that 7 times 8. That's nearly 56 seconds delay for an emergency vehicle just to traverse Hove Street. That 1 minute it could be crucial in many situations. On top of that, the cost involved at $4,000 per speed bump. That's $32,000 just for Hove Street alone. Frankly, I don't think they're necessary on Hove Street whatsoever. I lived here 45 years on this street. I've never had a problem with anybody speeding by my house. I'm in the middle of Hove at 118. But if the committee feels that they do want to have speed bumps, then I have a better recommendation than 8 speed bumps on Hove Street. Hove Street is divided roughly into 3 sections from Sheppard to Maxwell. There's Sheppard to Cocksfield, Cocksfield to Bitterroot, where it turns west, and from Bitterroot over to Maxwell. From Sheppard to Cocksfield, you could put 1 speed bump halfway along that little section. Cocksfield has a stop sign. That slows down your traffic. From Cocksfield to Bitterroot, halfway there is Searle Street. There's another stop sign at Searle Street. Putting speed bumps around a stop sign is a total waste of money. From Bitterroot on, the section of Hove that runs westward to Maxwell, you could put 1 halfway between Bitterroot and Maxwell. So really all you need is 2 speed bumps on Hove at the maximum. 1 between Sheppard and Codswell halfway, and 1 between Bitterroot and Maxwell halfway. That's the only speed bumps I think that might be useful, just might be useful. So thank you for your time.
Great, thank you, Zev. Any questions for the deputant? No? Okay, thank you very much, Zev. Questions for staff? I have a couple. So one thing we hear regularly about speed humps is it slows down emergency services, I guess fire, EMS, police. but at the same time, they don't seem to block these reports, these staff reports, or object too strenuously to them. So which one is it? Are they vigorously against it? Can they still function in a safe way with speed humps? Where do we sit on this?
Thank you for the question. Through the chair, as transportation services, we work with emergency services to understand their needs, and the design of speed humps were developed with emergency services to ensure that they could traverse over the speed humps. So we work with them to make sure that they're not impassable for emergency services, and they do meet their needs and effectively reduce speeding motor vehicles that travel over the route every day.
Okay. When it comes to the frequency of speed humps or the number of speed humps, the last speaker said you don't need as many as we're proposing. Can we vary the number of speed humps along a street, or are we set? Does it have to be set that you put a number of speed humps in a distance and you can't vary that?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So speed humps are typically installed every 60 to 90 meters. That is our best practice. So we try to meet that to ensure that motor vehicles are traveling a consistent 30 kilometers an hour over the course of a full road or a full block. In Bathurst Manor, through our looking at the constraints of Bathurst Manor, specifically the driveways, on most road segments, we're actually placing them around 90 meters apart, so they are farther apart than our minimum threshold, mostly because of driveways, because we won't place them in front of a driveway, they'd only be between driveways. So we have looked at our spacing, and we're recommending something that is consistent with our guidelines, but is closer to the maximum threshold just because of the site constraints.
Okay, thanks for that. Now, another element of speed humps is the conventional wisdom says you have to have sidewalks on a street in order to get authorization of speed humps. I have speed humps on streets without sidewalks, with sidewalks. What is the current guideline regarding conditions of sidewalks with speed humps, the connection of the two?
Yeah, thank you for the question. So through the traffic calming policy update last year, the sidewalks were always a consideration, so to consider whether sidewalks are present, but they are not required for the installation of speed humps.
And finally, I guess if the community is divided or opposed to speed humps, we can come back with other alternatives to keep it safe.
Yes, transportation services has other tools that we use to help encourage compliance with the speed limit. So there are other things that we look at implementing depending on what kind of road it is and what the speeds are, to see what we can do to encourage better compliance with the speed limits.
So do we have a collision or fatality data for Maxwell? I was surprised at what this resident was saying about 2 deaths.
Yeah, so all of the collision history that's reported through Toronto Police Services is available on our Vision Zero dashboard that's online. And so there were 2 collisions on Maxwell in 2015, one in 2015 and one in 2017, resulting in fatalities. And those are all available online to see.
Okay. All right, thanks very much. Oh, Councillor Burnside, questions for staff?
I sure do. As a result of your questions, you inspired me. Thank you. In terms of response rates in this, would they be kind of in the norm, or was it low? Was it high?
Yeah, so through the Bathurst Manor Neighbourhood Mobility Plan, we had 2 rounds of consultation, both online and in person, throughout, and having an email and phone number where people could connect with us. We don't really look at response rates in a neighborhood. It's mostly just about, we do look at the number of responses to a survey and the number of people who attend our events or who email us, but we're not comparing it to the general population.
So were you happy with it?
There was a lot of attendance, definitely,
Okay,
at
so-
the public meeting. Yeah,
yeah.
And a lot of engagement. The people who...
So you're happy with the level of engagement
Yeah.
in a city where people like me are mostly voted on by name recognition, right? Okay, so that's just the point I wanted to make. But in terms of the speed limit, I don't think, it might be you, but in terms of the reduction in speed limit, if you were to reduce the speed limit from 40 to 30 without any other accompanying measures such as enforcement or speed humps or anything like that, am I correct in my, what I think is my knowledge, that it actually translates into about a 2 to 3 kilometer reduction in actual speed?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And through the chair, I think you asked me this last time as well, but the before and after studies, I don't think we have those before and after studies right now, but we can look at providing them for you.
Historically, that's an accurate number.
Yeah, because someone in this panel told me that, so I already knew the answer. But okay, and then in terms is what part of this neighborhood is a community safety zone?
There are 4 schools in the neighborhood, and so the community safety zones are directly around those schools. So some of the streets that we're recommending speed humps on, where we see operating speeds above 38 kilometers an hour, are not community safety zones. So they don't have other traffic calming or speed management tools.
And the reason I'm asking that is to use automated speed enforcement technology. Am I correct to say that a street has to be a community safety zone? It has to be designated that. If not, you can't use that technology on those streets. So your toolbox is very limited.
Yeah, through the chair, that's correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Burnside. Councillor Cheng, for questions for staff?
Hi. Traffic calming, the big mystery of the outer burbs or inner burbs. So I think I've asked this in multiple meetings, but I just need to understand. In Ottawa, we see dual flex stakes being used across the city, 14,000 of them, in fact, that they implement, and it creates a visual narrowing of the road. And north of my ward on Henderson, north of Steeles, I see the same implementation in a school safety zone. They are relatively inexpensive. I think they're a lot less than a speed bump. And I'm just wondering, what is the hesitancy in the city of Toronto to use dual flex stakes?
So we call them here, thank you for the question. We call them in-road flexible speed signs, and we do use them in the city of Toronto. They are installed to reinforce the speed limit and to remind drivers what the speed limit is, and also to visually narrow the road. So we do use them where they meet our criteria and our placement guides. So some constraints can be driveways. We can't place them in front of driveways where motorists would potentially hit them as they're coming out. So.
Sorry, I'm talking about a 2-stake measure. So, 3, right. So I have a picture here, but you have the middle, and then you have 2 on the side, and I've experienced it in Kingston, I experienced it in Markham, and I do slow down, and I'm wondering why we haven't implemented that version of the stakes. I know we have the middle speed marker, but I feel like this really works, and it doesn't slow down emergency vehicles. So what is our hesitancy? Because I feel like I always encounter an obstacle when I bring up this solution, which Ottawa has, implemented 14,000 stakes. I think it's working somewhere.
Thank you for the clarification. And through the chair, one of the challenges in terms of placing in-road flexible speed signs are parking. And so if there is parking, we couldn't place one in the center of the road or on the side of the road, because we need to provide enough space for a motor vehicle to be able to slow down and travel through. But if there is parking that's allowed on the road, it really limits us to where we can place an in-road flexible
But I think like in residential areas, community members would be willing to give up some parking spots, because you don't have to do it the entire 2-kilometer stretch. If you just do it strategically near intersections.
Councillor Cheng,
Just
I'm not sure if
wondering-
we should be debating.
I guess my
policy
question is,
now.
could this be piloted as a tool to address the concerns of the community members who are opposing these speed bumps as a solution to slow people down?
Yeah, thank you for the question. And through the chair, it is a trade-off, definitely, to remove parking that the residents would have to understand. And so it's something that can be looked into if parking amendments are something that residents would be willing to consider.
So you would need a parking amendment to implement on a residential road?
If the residential road permits up to 3-hour parking, which is present in Bathurst Manor, then
Right. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and just as an FYI, a motion I'm going to move as an alternative is flexible speed signs in road. Well, we're going to leave it up to our expert staff to come back with a plan. Okay, any other questions for staff? I have to speak because I'm going to move my motion. Okay, so first of all, thanks very much to staff. This has been a long process. The Bathurst Manor Neighbourhood Mobility Plan. We started it before the pandemic. Then the pandemic came, and you couldn't do a lot of the studies that are required to measure car volume. Then we got it back going again. We had a public consultation. Certainly, we've done a lot of intake in our office. Regarding outreach, you know what? We had to beg people to come to some of these meetings. We had to aggressively go after them with every list that we possibly had. We had a working group, and we worked very hard to get them to show up. And I was on so many working groups, I couldn't get any work done. But this was one that was very important. People did come. Staff followed all the rules of public consultation, the notices. We've had this item at this council where people are Bathurst Manor are welcome to depute. We used all our social media platforms to get people to come to these meetings. The one that was held with the boards, the pop-in consultation and town hall held at Beth Emmet was very well attended. I think we had over 100 people there. So you know, we can't force people to read through their mail. We can't force people to come to these events. We strongly encourage them to do so. So I think staff have done a good job with this. I'm going to move an alternative motion here. We're going to refer it back to staff and look at alternatives for the speed humps. I support speed humps in most circumstances, but the community is deeply divided over this, and we're not here to create divisions. The other thing I would add is that I've been living on a street with speed humps for 24 years, and they were there before we arrived, and with mixed results. People still fly over these speed humps. They still drive down the streets. Many people do slow down still, so they have. They play a role, and they can get people to slow down, but you need compliance. And if individuals are refusing to do so, the speed humps only have limited impact. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to refer this back to staff. I thank staff for helping me for writing this motion through discussion, but we're going to look at other alternatives to the speed humps. We're going to look at watch your speed signs, in-road flexible speed signs, automated speed enforcement cameras, sidewalks, and curb extensions, and come back with a plan B, instead of the 51 speed humps that are before us. It comes back again. So I'll put that to a vote. If we can put it back on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much to staff, the deputants, and my colleagues. We're on to item 20. And we have speakers on the item. We're looking for Mihir Kapadia. There we go. Mihir, thank you very much for coming. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Arlene Kaplan, and I'm here on behalf of myself and my husband Robert. We're the homeowners at 51 Tanbark Crescent, and I'm joined by Mahir Kapadia, our contractor from Unicus Build. At the request of Councillor Robinson's office, I sent some information to all of you yesterday. I'm not sure if you had a chance to take a look at it or not, but I want to make it very clear that we are not looking for a fence exemption. There seems to have been some miscommunication around this, but we always intended on building a fenced-in enclosure leading to our pool, and we understand the need for safety and security coming out of our home into our backyard. So just as a quick side note, we own a retail business at Eglinton and Weston Road. It's been there for more than 80 years. We employ about 60 people, and we are very familiar with and comfortable with abiding by the rules of all levels of government. So that's correct. Thank you very much. Appreciate that. So, thank you. I'd like to share 3 images with you just to help you understand what it is we are asking for. That's the first image. That's the existing site condition. So that's an image of the back of our home and specifically the door that leads to our backyard as it appears today. This is the area where we've been waiting to build the required fenced-in enclosure. We are seeking an adjustment to the size of the enclosure. Our objective is to make our backyard as functional as possible while also maximizing safety for us and any guests who come to our home. So if you take a look at the second image, that's a SketchUp of our proposal. So as you can see here, the red box with the hash marks through it, that's basically the sliding door as it exists today. That's the opening. The other side of our sliding door is actually fixed, so that does not move at all. And what we're looking to do is build an enclosure that's 4 feet wide, and then out from the house, we want to build out about 4.5 feet, incorporating the large steel post which holds up our pergola as part of the delineation for where the gate would be. So in this third image is going to help even more, I think. It's a render of what our proposed enclosure would look like. So we want to erect a 4-foot-high tempered glass fence and gate with a self-closing safety lock mechanism. The total footprint of the gated enclosure would be approximately 18 square feet. And although it looks like dark glass here, just so you can see it in the visual, it's actually clear, obviously. And once again, we're asking for an adjustment to the size of the fenced-in enclosure so that we can meet the requirements for safety while at the same time using the space that we have available in the most functional way possible. We appreciate your consideration of our proposal and are happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you for your presentation. I just was wondering, have you presented this to staff, this proposal, and did they give you any feedback on it?
No, we did not.
Okay. So, yeah, that's all I have to ask. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe this is okay. Any other questions for staff, for the deputant? I just have one here. On the report says, the existing pool west side of the enclosure has no fence to prevent access to the pool from the dwelling.
I'm sorry to say that I actually don't understand what the report is saying. That's why I said there's been some miscommunication or misinformation. I couldn't understand it myself.
Well, okay, we're going to come to municipal licensing when it's questions for staff. There's a disconnect here, and I'm not sure what it is. Okay, any other questions for the deputant? No? Okay. All right, we'll try and get this sorted out. We're going to bring it into committee and see if we can get it sorted out. We may defer it. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Questions for staff? Councillor Cheng?
Hi, so I just wanted to ask staff, based on what was presented, how you feel about that solution.
Thank you for the question, Councillor. Through the chair, that recommendation has been approved in the past in certain instances. What I see from the rendering that was up there is that it would violate the 1 meter spacing out from either side of the door that is required. that would be in council's hands. What I can say is that the application that we have for the fence exemption in front of us is exactly what the chair had stated, which is there is no fourth fence currently. It's my belief that if the homeowner would like to change what they have submitted to us, that this item might be deferred to a later date where the homeowner can now speak with us and we can update the application and then have it brought back before council.
So we're, just to clarify, we're encouraging applicant to work with staff on acceptable implementation or to then apply for, with clarity of what is, the amendment is.
All right, so we're going to draft a motion for deferral so that the local councillor can speak to the matter. But I will ask of staff. I read this little section that on the staff report about this. The existing pool west side of the enclosure has no fence to prevent access to. The homeowner didn't know what you were talking about, and that concerns us a lot.
So
Can you go ahead?
Sorry, through the chair. It seems that this report and the application was done by the contractor, not the homeowner themselves. Basically what it means is from the photos they've shown, you can walk directly out of the dwelling into the pool area, and the bylaw is specific that no exits from the dwelling can enter directly into the pool area. So the report that was, or the application that was put in front of us was to go around that section of the bylaw and allow the access from the home in, and now the homeowner is showing us that that's not what they actually intended.
All right. Yeah, I would support a motion to defer, and hopefully the local councillor will be here, and there'll be and we will request that you maybe give clarity to the homeowner on the wording of this report. I assume they understand what's required.
Through the chair, thank you. Yes, MLS will work with the homeowner to ensure they understand and we get an updated application for council.
Okay. So we have the motion. So Councillor Cheng is going to move deferral to the June 4th meeting of North York Community Council. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Next item is 21. 51 Wimpole Drive. We have Alireza Saad. Alireza?
Yes,
Saad?
Alireza Said.
Sorry if I made a mess of
That's
your name
okay.
there. Thank you very much for coming. You have 5 minutes.
Hi, my name is Alireza Said. I'm the owner of 51 Wimpole Drive. So the reason I apply for the exemption is because of the two items that I have. One is the neighbor chain link fence that is all existing from my neighbor. My neighbor is Embassy of Malaysia, so they didn't allow us to put the new fences there. So that's the only fence that is existing. All the others is a new fence with the standard that we needed for the pool separation. So they didn't accept that to remove the fence, so that fence is existing, and the diamond shape that we have, spacing is 50 millimeters. That's supposed to be 38 millimeters. So we cover all that area with the evergreen trees. I sent the picture yesterday that I hope we can see it here. So it's all covered and is not any possibility to move from one side to the other side anymore to cover that completely area that is between me and my neighbor. So that's one of the items that I appreciate that we can accept that. And the other one is a Juliet balcony. It is not correct one, it's not glass door there. Is it a regular vertical iron fencing? Is a Juliet balcony that's supposed to be 1 meter from the door, but because that balcony is only 1 meter, I cannot put it close to the stair. So I didn't have this space enough that I can go with the regulation with 1 meter. So that attached to the wall, but most of the time is locked, and we are not using that door that much. And that's the only exception that I really needed, because that's the only door that I can go to the backyard from the family room. In the picture and attachment, that my address is wrong. It's not 53 York Minster Road. I'm 51 Wimpole Drive. And the last page, there is a glass railing. Is not for my property. That's for some other property that by mistake is in my report. So I appreciate if you can consider my exemption.
Questions for the deputant? Just that last comment you made, you're saying the third picture?
In the attachment, there is a glass railing, attachment number 4, page 8. That's not my house.
Right, okay, so I think that was changed, so I don't see attachment.
Oh, okay.
Anymore. Yeah. Okay, so I've got that. Colleagues, any other questions for the deputant? No? You mentioned the address. It is 51.
Yes, 51 Wimpole Drive. In the attachment number 2, they mentioned 53 York Minster Road. I think it's by typo mistake. Maybe it's fixing the new one.
Taken out, right? Yeah, so we've corrected that.
Oh, okay.
We've corrected that. Okay, so the two errors in the report have been corrected, so what's before us is accurate. Any other questions for the deputant? No? Questions for staff?
I have a question.
Okay, Councillor Cheng?
So I'm just seeing a chain link fence, but then it's wrapped by trees. Is that the condition that is being objected because of the rear? I can't tell, but is that the rear chain link fence? Or is that the side fence?
Through the chair, that is the rear chain link fence, and I believe the issue at question here is the fact that the meshing is not what is dictated in the pool, in the fence bylaw for pools. You can't have anything over 1.5 inches or 38.1 millimeters, and in this case, the spacing on the meshing is 50 millimeters, so it's a 2-inch mesh.
Okay, and what would be staff's recommendation to the owner to become compliant? Is building a new fence with new material?
Through the chair, that would be correct. Pool companies do sell proper chain link mesh that is at 1.5 inches, made specifically for pool enclosures, knowing that the City of Toronto does have that in their bylaws.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions for staff? Speakers? Okay, I guess I will move this on behalf of Councillor. No, I'm a little reluctant to move this as is. Would
Defer.
would there be support for deferring this? Hmm? Okay. Councillor Burnside, could you please move a motion to defer?
I'll move the motion to defer.
Okay, Councillor Cheng is moving a motion to defer to the next community council meeting. It's on the screen.
So we have to back again for that?
All those in favor? Opposed?
You don't want to defer?
You have to vote. Well, how'd you vote? Okay, so you're against deferral? Yes. Okay, so deferral loses on a draw. Councillor Cole, you want to approve the fence exemption. We can put that motion on the screen, and you can move it.
Just staff recommendation.
No. Are you adopting staff recommendations?
No.
The refusal?
Then you have to have a motion to approve.
I'm moving to approve.
You're granting the exemption. Okay,
Granting
thank
the
you very much, Councillor Cole. All those in favor? Opposed? That's carried.
Thank you very much.
Okay, number 22, 8 Valley Ridge Place. We have a speaker. I don't have a name.
Wally Griner.
Paul?
Wally Griner. Good morning.
Yes.
It's on there, okay.
Motion to defer.
Sorry, I'm going to move a motion to defer with apologies. Unfortunately, your representative isn't here. I'm not sure why, but either way, to ask you to go through all this and then come back and then go through it all again for the benefit of your counselor, because I think we should just defer it till then, because I'm not comfortable.
You're deferring our request, you're saying?
Just the item to when your counselor can be here.
So
I'm not comfortable.
June the 4th is when this item will be heard.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm here to speak on behalf of the resident, right?
Oh, we're not going to hear you. We're deferring the item, and you can come back on June the 4th.
All right, we'll see
All
you
right,
then.
how's that sound?
I'll see you then.
All right, thanks very much.
Sorry for the inconvenience.
Yeah. All right, thanks very much. Okay, deferrals on the floor. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Okay, item number 23. 130 Goulding Avenue. I do have a speaker, Ali Korsund.
Yes.
Yes, thank you for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Hello, councillors. My name is Ali Korsand, and I am the owner of 130 Goulding Avenue. I'm here to speak about the fence exemption application that has been submitted. I would like to explain the situation regarding the fence height. As per the bylaw requirement, the height of the fence on the east side is 2 meters. However, on the north and west side, the elevation of the grading is about 20 centimeters lower than the grading on the east side. To maintain a consistent fence height around the perimeter of the house, we had to elevate the height by about 25 centimeters on the north and west side. It's worth mentioning that the elevation of the grading and soil level on the adjacent neighbor's property is about 25 centimeters higher than the grading level in my backyard. This means that the fence height from the neighbor's side is also about 2 meters as per the bylaw. Furthermore, I have talked to my neighbors about the situation, and they have already shown their support by emailing a letter of support to the community council. Thank you very much for listening to my explanations.
Thank you so much for coming, and you have my full support, but I can't say that. Did you know you have my full support?
Okay. No, Councillor Cheng, very, very enthusiastic support. Are there any questions for the deputant? Okay, so Councillor, no questions for staff. Councillor Cheng has enthusiastic support granting this
Thank you so much.
application. The motion is on the screen. All those in favor? Opposed? That,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
that is carried. Item number 25. Item number 25, 311 Patricia. And I don't have, although there was supposed to be a late speaker on this, but I don't have a name. Oh.
It's Casey.
Okay. Casey, thank you very much for joining us. You have 5 minutes.
Perfect. Can you see my my camera? Can you see my video?
Yes, we can see your face.
Oh, perfect. I'm just gonna switch it over. Okay. So I'll just point to it. I have 3 fences. So this fence, the rear fence, and then the side fence. They're slightly taller, and I got okay from all three neighbors. This neighbor, that neighbor, and this neighbor as well. So I provide that to the city. So let me go down as well to the downstairs. Give me one moment. My apologies. All 3 neighbors agreed to the height. It's just that when I'm stepping on the deck of my house, it's a little bit high, so I kind of peek over to my neighbors. So when I'm on this deck, as you can tell, there's just 3 steps. So step 1, 2, and then 3. But then I just kind of look over to my neighbors, and sometimes they just don't want to see me peering over when they're having a barbecue or anything like that. So I do have all 4 fences around the swimming pool. And this fence, I know there's another, this fence, this chain link, just that these posts are a little bit far apart. So this post and that post, but they are very secure from Roma Fence. I got Roma Fence to install them for me, and it's attached to the fence on either side. I have 4.
Okay, that's enough. We're happy. Okay,
All right. No, thank you, Casey. Thank you very much. We've got the message here. I think you're going.
Yes, I'm going
You're going to like the outcome.
to grant the exemption. At both
It's
exemptions.
All right. Let's put the motion on the screen.
So I can.
No. Casey, we're going to vote on your item,
Sorry?
and I think you'll like the outcome. All right. Councillor Cheng has moved granting the fence exemption. All those in favor? Opposed? That was carried. Thank you very much, Casey. You've been granted the exemption. Enjoy your property. That concludes today's business with the exception of bill. Yes, with the exception of the bills. So we'll Councillor Cheng, why don't you take the honor of moving the Bill 430?
We move that Bill 430, prepared for the May 8th, 2024 meeting 13 of the North York Community Council, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to Section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. One more. Councillor Burnside.
The confirmatory bills to confirm the legislative proceedings of the North York Community Council acting under delegated authority at meeting 13 on May 8th, 2024, be declared as bylaws and passed subject to Section 226.9 of the City of Toronto Act 2006.
Perfect. All those in favor? Opposed? That is carried. Thank you very much, councillors. Thank you very much, city staff. Thanks to all the deputants for coming today, and of course, thanks to our very capable clerks team for keeping the meeting running smoothly. Enjoy the rest of the day. I have kept my campaign promise of done by noon.